Welcome to the Sailing and Cruising the East Coast of the United States podcast. I'm Bela Musits. This episode is part of a series I recorded with Mike Malekoff during our sailing trip up the East Coast. We were relocating his Hunter 44 Deck Salon from Brunswick, Georgia to Burlington, Vermont. Please note that the video version of this podcast primarily features photographs and short video clips I captured along our journey. The audio was recorded on the boat, typically in the evenings at anchor or in a marina, although we did record a few segments while underway. Join Mike and me as we explore the United States East Coast aboard his Hunter 44 Deck Salon. I hope you enjoy this podcast. Well, hello folks. Here we are. We're sitting in Lake Champlain in Vermont. But what a day we had today, Mike. How would you summarize it?
Well, yesterday, your tagline was wet, 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 as it rained all day on us, going through the Champlain locks. And I remember finally exiting those Champlain locks and commenting to you, I am so glad the locks are behind us. We're out of the locks and we're in the home stretch to Burlington, Vermont.
Well,
little did I know.
Yeah. Mother Nature and the locks had one more surprise for us. So we got to Whitehall Marina last night, or late in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Very
soaked.
Soaking wet, yes. My feet looked like prunes. But we got there, we got checked in. The guy, the dockhand who sort of came down, who's the restaurant manager and runs the marina, doesn't own the marina, but sort of helps run it. After he saw us get off the boat and helped us dock the boat, he goes, I'm going to buy you boys a drink.
Somehow he figured that out.
He could tell we had a tough day.
As we came off all wet and soaked. And it rained. It rained all day, even when we got in.
So we got the boat moored, or docked, I should say. We went and had some dinner. We took him up on his free drink offer. We had some dinner. Nice little restaurant. Yeah. Decent food, bar food, pretty much.
It's a nice little rustic marina. Nothing fancy with the docks. But the guy that greeted us, he was very nice. He was actually kind of comical. Sort of a rough and tumble type guy. That was a former Marine, served 5 tours of duty in Iraq and was ex-military that earned 2 Purple Hearts, and neat guy. But he was really nice. He knew we had a tough day and greeted us. Yes, and we had dinner, and to our surprise, we left dinner, and what did we see?
Well, at each lock, for those of you who don't know about locks, at each lock there's a dam, because in a lock you're either going up or you're going down. And the dam is what makes the difference in the water height, because on one side of the dam the water's high, on the downstream side of the dam the water's low. So, and the lock sort of steps you through that, so you don't have to go over the waterfall or figure out how to go up the dam. So what happened, since it rained yesterday all day long
and hard,
and they need to control the water level in the lock system or in the canal system, because the bridge clearance, people depend upon, I think in the Champlain Canal, 17 feet, I believe.
Is the lowest bridge clearance.
That's right. The lowest bridge clearance is 17 feet. So people kind of depend on that. So they can't let the water level go up a foot, because it'll screw up people.
And you'll have flooding as well.
Yes. So when we got out from dinner, we noticed we were just on the downstream or the low side of the last lock, and there's a dam. We could see the dam, and we noticed that the floodgates were open on the dam. And
well,
go ahead.
I'm sorry not to interrupt. It was actually, they were running a turbine to generate electricity at that point, I believe.
Okay.
Because it was shooting out of the one side.
Anyway, tons of water coming out. Lots and lots of water. And the main channel, I would say, looked like the Colorado River. And, it should have been people in whitewater rafts going through there.
Yeah.
And where our boat was docked, we were off to the side at this marina, and there was a big circular eddy there that was swirling around like often you get off of a main channel where there's a lot of flow. This big eddy, and with lots of debris, and wouldn't you know, where we were docked, the way the water was flowing was pinning us right against the dock. And there's a lot of sticks and twigs and an occasional log or two floating around in there. And, you know, the dock is blocking some of them. The boat's blocking some of them. And, you know, I got back from dinner. I looked at that and I go, how the hell are we going to get off of here in the morning? So I spent most of the night tossing and turning and trying to figure out, okay, how can we pull the boat off the dock tomorrow morning if the floodgates or there's still a lot of water flow. And they did turn the generator off last night, so they needed less power as the evening progressed. So they shut that water down, but they then opened the floodgates on the dam,
which was worse,
which was even more. And so I mean, it was unbelievable. So
it was raging.
Yes, we got up and you know, last night I could hear things hitting the hull, logs hitting the hull, and anyway, I don't think neither one of us slept very well. And you got up this morning.
Well, and during the night, I found out when I saw the owner of the marina at 1:30 in the morning, he actually came out and added additional ratchet straps, real heavy-duty ratchet straps, to the finger dock we were on because he was worried that the pressure was so great against our boat and the dock, and there was another boat on the other side of the dock that it may break loose. That's how heavy the current was. So he was out there putting additional straps to hold the dock in place as the water was just rushing up against the side of our boat. And yes, and when I got up in the morning, I noticed that they had now opened the dam, and the water was the Colorado River times 2, and it was even starting to come over the walkway off of the dock.
Yeah, and these straps that he had were like anchored. One end was tied to the dock, the other end was tied to land.
Yes, not to a dock.
Not to another dock. It was tied to land. So Mike got up early, a little earlier than I did. It's like 7 o'clock-ish, and the marina owner was there.
Because he was worried.
Yeah, he was worried about damage to his place, and invite Mike into where the bar was. A little while later, I got up, and Mike saw me walking around the dock, scratching my head, going, "What are we going to do here?" And he said, "Hey, Bela, come on in." So I went up there. The marina owner, his name is Lynn, I believe. Lynn, yes, very, very nice gentleman.
Yes, I think we need to promote the fact that Whitehall Marina in Whitehall, New York. You know, the marina again was rustic, but this guy was a superhero in my estimation for what he did. Not just the fact that he was out there in the middle of the night securing the docks, but yes, got up early in the morning, real early, saw me, invited me into the restaurant, made coffee for me. I saw Bela wandering around aimlessly outside, wondering what we were going to do. And he came in and had some coffee and then made us bagels on top of it.
Yeah, and then we finished up breakfast. We went out. He came out with us. One of his other workers at the marina showed up, and the four of us cleared debris. Foam and debris. The foam didn't bother me, other than it made the boat really dirty. But it was all the foam hid all the debris underneath.
Yeah, so the foam was hiding all that stuff.
So he brought some rakes down, and we raked and pulled debris out for probably a good 45 minutes.
Oh, at least. It was everywhere.
And while we were in having coffee, Lynn, the marina owner, said, you know, because we were all three of us were brainstorming on how we can get the boat off. And Lynn said, you know what? He goes, I know the lock tender. He goes, let me call him and see if he would be willing to close the floodgates for a little while, so the water level, the flow and the big eddy will, you know, subside, and we could sneak out of here, and then they can open it back up again.
Yeah.
So he called over there on our behalf, And I think the person who was there wasn't the boss. He was
Had to call the boss.
the person who answered the phone at Lock 12 said, "Okay, let me call the boss, see what the boss says." The boss knows Lynn.
Local politics.
Lynn knows the boss. The boss said, "Okay, you can do it for a short period of time."
2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes is what he said. So we said, "Great." So the lock tender called Lynn back, said, "Yep, we can do it." And we said, "Okay, it'll take us 15 minutes to get ready. So we'll call you when we're ready." So Mike's getting the boat ready. I'm out there with the two other guys still raking these logs out of the way, because as soon as you move one, another one comes to take its place.
And these were not small logs. These were branches that were 6 feet long, amid everything and anything that was floating by: twigs, branches, leaves, flip-flops, milk containers.
Yeah.
Because basically when that dam was opened up, everything in the water was just being flushed out. So, I rushed as fast as I could to try and get the boat ready. As Bela knows, I have a long list of checkpoints that I go down to make sure I cover everything, because I want to make sure we don't forget something in starting up the boat and leaving. But I was really rushed and did it by memory, got everything ready. I was standing there at the helm. I made sure that the rudder was workable, because all this stuff was flowing against the boat. And what was it, just one day before, we had lost the engine because of debris getting into the intake for the engine. The water intake, and it overheated the engine. So I'm now sitting in all this debris wondering, will the boat start, and will this debris get into the intake again? But Bela and some of the guys did a great job pulling all the leaves and twigs and everything away from the boat as it was splashing up against the boat, bringing more debris. So I sat at the helm and I just said, "Let me know when you're ready." And Bela said, "You give it the gun so we get the heck out of here," because the water slowed down a bit. I had better rudder control. I could feel that it wasn't pressing it, and I was ready to go, Bela.
Yes. And I hopped on the boat. Lynn and his helper manned the lines, and everyone said, "We're ready." I said, "Okay, Mike, put it in gear. Let's go."
And I threw it right in gear, and the boat stalled.
We hear a big clunk, kunk, and the engine stops. So I go, "Okay, don't let go of the lines." So they resecured the boat, and the engine stopped. So he said, "Okay, must be a log jammed in there someplace, yeah. Between the rudder and the propeller. Who knows where, but somewhere underneath there's a log jammed in there that's preventing the propeller from rotating."
And to make matters worse, because I threw it into gear, the boat was now in gear and could not go back to neutral, because whatever was jammed in there prevented me from, on the boat, moving it back to neutral. So I couldn't restart the engine until we could get the boat back to neutral, and that wasn't moving. So the guy he closed the dam for us, and now we're scrambling to try and figure this out.
So here's what we did. Mike went down below where we have access to the back end of the transmission and the prop shaft, down where the cutlass bearing is, or the not the cutlass bearing, but the
stuffing box.
Stuffing box, excuse me. Yes. And Mike put a big pipe wrench on the drive shaft and tried to move the drive shaft, clockwise, counterclockwise, just wiggle it back and forth a little bit so we could take pressure off of the transmission. So I was up top in the cockpit trying to shift the transmission into neutral. And we were having a lot of trouble. And then Lynn, the marina owner, knew what was going on. He showed up with two big pipe wrenches.
Giant pipe wrench.
And one was a giant one, which then Lynn went down below with Mike. And he was able to put the pipe wrench actually on the coupling.
Yes.
That couples the transmission to the...
Mine wasn't large enough. His was large enough. He obviously this was not his first rodeo. That's the first time it ever happened to me. And he was able to get it on the coupling that holds the shaft to into the transmission, and he started wiggling because his pipe wrench was so large. He started to wiggle it, and Bela, I think you were able to get it to neutral at that point. And Lynn kept wiggling it, and you could actually hear the log or whatever was jammed in there. You could hear a bump as it freed itself. And then we were able to spin the prop shaft freely. And at that point, it was at least somewhat of a sigh of relief that we got it back to neutral. And the next thing was, get our asses back in gear and let's try and get this boat out of here before that guy opens up the dam again.
Yeah. So just to help explain what we were trying to accomplish. So when the transmission is in gear, you can't rotate the prop shaft because unless you rotate the engine, that's the only way it'll rotate.
Right. And you can't start the engine.
Right. So, and I knew if there was a log or something jammed in there, we had to be able to try to rotate it, and hopefully the rushing current that's going sideways underneath the boat will, if we can take the pressure off that log, will flush the log out of there. So that's why the first step was to figure out how to get it in neutral, and just by wiggling the drive shaft back and forth a little bit, we could take the pressure off the transmission enough that I could slide it into neutral with the shifter, the gear shifter. Then once we're in neutral, now the drive shaft and the propeller is decoupled from the transmission and the engine. Mm-hmm. So now, with a big pipe wrench, you can try to move the drive shaft, rotate the drive shaft clockwise and counterclockwise, and hopefully sort of dislodge whatever's jammed in there. And count our lucky stars, we got lucky. And whatever was in there, along with the current that was probably 4 or 5 knots going underneath the boat, not more, right, washed it out of there. Yeah. And then Lynn, you and Lynn were able to verify that, yes, indeed, the propeller was free to rotate.
And he was able to rotate it by hand at that point.
Yes.
So we knew it was completely free.
So we said, great, success.
So I said, Lynn, get the hell off our boat.
Man the lines.
So we can get out of here.
Yeah. So he jumped off the boat, and him and his helper manned the lines. Mike started the engine. That looked good. We had cooling water coming out. That looked good. And we said, okay, let's try this again. Mike popped it into gear before we undid the lines just to make sure everything was still working, which it was. And then we said, okay, drop the lines. And they were pushing hard to keep the boat off the dock. They had put in a whole bunch of extra fenders. Lynn brought over a bunch of extra fenders to put along the dock. So as we slithered out of there, basically rubbing against the dock.
Rolling against.
We were rolling it with, the fenders acted like rollers, right? The kind of, because they're round. We rolled through there, and we got off okay, and we got out into the current, and we pointed north, and we dodged, probably for the next mile or two, we dodged a lot of debris.
A lot of debris, because everything that had flowed down out of the canal system, logs and everything, just pushed its way into what was the very entrance or bottom of Lake Champlain. But because Lake Champlain has so much water in it, there was sort of a pushback, which created that whirlpool, but all this debris was everywhere. So yes, we were, for at least a couple miles, dodging logs and trees and everything in the water. So let's just say, I think I told you that by 9:30 I was exhausted.
Yeah. And again, I can't give Mike enough credit. He has those wireless headsets, because while we're dodging these logs, most of them are 90% submerged.
Yeah. So
you don't see them. So one of us today, Mike was up at the bow.
Getting wet.
It was sprinkling a little bit. And had his headset on. I was in the cockpit, and Mike would say, okay, turn right. Okay, more to the right, or turn left.
Yeah.
And that's how we were dodging the debris that was in the water, because we wouldn't, some of the, the size of the logs were, like the 6, 8, 10 inches in diameter, and they could be 5, 6 feet long.
Oh yeah,
you hit something like that, and you're in big trouble.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, one of the marinas we stopped at, one of the boats,
gorgeous,
beautiful, probably 50-foot power boat.
$1 million boat.
at least,
Yes.
was stuck at the marina because they hit a log in the Hudson River, I think it was.
Correct.
And
Bent their prop.
Yeah. Or their shaft or something. Yep. They had a vibration, so they were going to idle back down to this other marina that could pull them out of the water and see what was going on. So you got to be really careful with that stuff. But after that other next 2 miles or so, it was nice. The rest of the day went nice and smooth. We got to this beautiful little marina called Chipman Point Marina. Mm-hmm. And it's really quaint. I think the two buildings here were built like in 1824.
1824 and 1810 or something
like that. Yeah. Made out of fieldstone, and it's not a big marina, but they have a crane here. So we saw two boats put their mast up here, which was interesting on how they did that. They did a great job, and so we've had a pleasant day.
Pleasant afternoon. The morning, I would say not so much. And the irony of the whole thing is, I will say that Bela has had a mantra while we've been making this trip, that if you can move, keep moving. And yesterday was a tough slog because it rained all day long, and it rained hard. And we were outside for 7 locks. There were a lot of boats that didn't move because of the weather. It was raining so hard. If we hadn't made that decision and get ourselves outside of the locks, even though we took a beating in the morning with the dam, the locks ended up closing because of all the high water the day after this heavy rain. So boats that were in the lock system were trapped. And when we left at 9 o'clock, right, Bela?
Today? Yes.
Today. And the first opening of the last lock was 8 a.m., and that lock never opened.
Yeah.
So, they were having a lot of issues. And so I'm just glad that I like Bela saying that you might be tired and there might be things making you nervous, but if you can move that boat, in this case, keep moving it. And this was to get through this lock system that has questionable operations with some of the mismanagement, I guess I'll call it. My words, not Bela's. But we did get through. We had a tough morning, but once we got out of there, we were in Lake Champlain. We're in Vermont, and it was a beautiful, say, last 5-10 miles of the trip, and the marina is pure Vermont.
Yes, it is 100% pure Vermont. Very quaint little marina, and people are really nice. The owner here was the one, helping people put their mast up.
Yes, it was a different operation here. In Pompano's, the staff managed taking the mast down. They didn't want you on the boat or near it because there's a risk with a several 100-pound mast. Here it was more do-it-yourself. The owner of the marina is out there. He directed, but the people that own the boat had to help put that mast back up. And it's just the way they do things here, and that's fine. I think, as Bela knows, I said I'm taking my boat all the way up into the Burlington area to a marina that's a safe harbor marina that I don't want to say has professional staff, but they have a whole system. Again, they do it themselves, and they have a trained, licensed rigger that knows exactly how to tune the rigging on my boat. And I much prefer that because of the safety of when the sails are up and the pressure and everything. Here, once he puts the mast up and the rigging is holding the mast, then whoever owns the boat, you're responsible for tightening all of the rigging. So anyway, just a different way to do it. And we were very enlightened to see the mechanism used to raise the mast here, which had a 1956 Chevy shifter for the gears.
Transmission from a Chevy, and it was in second gear, and a little electric motor running the input shaft. And when there's a will, there's a way. My hat's off to the ingenuity of the people we've met at some of these marinas and their ability to get things done with not having to go out and buy the latest piece of equipment. Very talented people.
So, we're in the home stretch, would you say, Bela? 43 miles to go to Burlington Marina?
Yeah, no locks between us and
Burlington.
Weather tomorrow's supposed to be nice, no rain. So we'll give you an update when this trip finally concludes, hopefully tomorrow night in Burlington. So thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Hope you...
And Bela, thank you for all of your help this morning. Out there pulling logs out from under my boat. I appreciate it.
Yes. Well, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hope you enjoyed this episode. And as always, if you have any questions or suggestions, please feel free to contact us at sailingtheeast, that's all one word, at gmail.com. That's sailingtheeast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.